and welcome to Tech to Tech presented by KaiZen, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. Let's get started. I would like to introduce KaiZen's own Scott Kane.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking a couple minutes to hang out with us today and learn a little bit. Today, we're going to be talking about vacuum degreasers and how to manage the acid in those machines. These are great machines. Those of you who have experience with them know this. There's a few maintenance things we have to do, and one of them is managing the acid. And we're going to learn that the answer about this and doing this will save your machine. So, quick question. What do all these things have in common? You've got smoke detectors in your house, your motor in your car, your mental health, and your teeth. And then, as well, we can add a vacuum degreaser to this list. All these things require maintenance. And if we take care of them, then the life of the product or the person is going to be much better off. And same with the vacuum degreasers. So maintenance is the key to a long life. Again, just like with your teeth or anything else, if we have that maintenance, we're going to have a better life with this. So, with regards to the vacuum degreaser, your organization has invested a lot of money in these machines. These machines are great, but they're not cheap. You want to make sure you're taking care of it so you have a long life and you get your value out of your machine. Additionally, your part quality is on the line. Your internal expectations, the expectation of your customer are all dependent on the vacuum degreaser working as you expect it to. So let's do that maintenance to make sure it does. Replacement parts are expensive and they can lead to downtime, which costs your organization money. Now, not a lot of the replacement parts for these machines are you available to run to the corner store and get that. It's going to have to be procured from the machine company. Sometimes they're having supply chain issues. Sometimes they have to send somebody in to do any sort of maintenance on it to replace parts, and you don't want to have your machine down for that long. And the other thing that regular maintenance does, it kind of provides a diagnosis of what's coming up on the machine, how things are reacting within the machine. So the more that that's being done, the less likely it is that you'll have something come up and surprise you with regards to the functionality of the machine. So let's talk about going acidic and kind of what that means. Any of the vacuum degreasing solvents that are out there are not designed to go acidic on their own. What happens is these cleaning agents or coolants that are utilized in the machine as well that we're trying to clean off often contain materials such as chlorine and sulfur. And then once we combine those with water, that's where we can see acid formation. That acid could be hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid. And if that acid stays in the system, it could create oxidation on parts such as the solvent reservoirs, the pumps, the piping, etc. Let's talk real quick about the possible causes of acid. Number one is something that we're not going to have because we're talking about maintenance now. But if there's a lack of proper maintenance, you're going to have an accumulation of these contaminants. And that causes a breakdown of the solvent where the stabilizers aren't able to do their job. And therefore, we're going to see acidic compounds. You got too much water in there. When there's too much water in the system, the stabilizers, again, are depleted. And then we're going to see a formation of acid. Inadvertent addition of acid, there are multiple materials that people actually bring into it unknowingly or just because that's what they're trying to clean off. The biggest one of these is flux. You could have phosphoric acid or stearic acid can also create that growth. These are highly engineered chemistries and solvents that we're talking about. We don't want to utilize two of them in one machine. That can cause the dilution of the stabilizers, or worse, can create a chemical reaction that could have some really adverse effects on the cleaning, the machine, or maybe the personnel utilizing the machine. And finally, the chlorinated oils can cause acid. Some of them break down at about 150 degrees, and that liberates the acidic components. And then when those components are in contact with solvents above 150 degrees, an acidic condition can occur. So then what do we do to avoid acidic growth? We've just learned kind of what the causes of it are, but what can we do to avoid that? Well, the first thing is we'll ask to utilize what's called an acid stabilizing kit. And we're going to refer to that as ask from now on, just so you guys know. And that'll show when there is acidic growth. This test takes less than 15 minutes. It's not have to be done very often, but it will extend the life of your machine and your solvent, will save you money. You'll get clean parts out more often. And finally, if the ask kit shows the presence of acid, please procure a booster to neutralize the acid. So what we're talking about with the acid stabilizing kit is we pull a sample from the machine, we put a little material in there that's going to give it some color. And then what we want to do is compare that color to a chart. And once if that color is out of range and is showing acid, we'll figure out how big the chamber is for the machine, how much material's in there, and how much of the booster that we add based off of that size to get the acid neutralized. This is kind of more of a video on what happens with the acid and how to remove it. If we're talking about really going into the nuts and bolts of how that is done with the ass kit to step by step, there are videos that we have available for that. You can also ask your local Kaizen representative to walk through that process with you. Additionally, there is a tech to tech that is going through that process as well. So there's a lot of different materials on the how to get rid of it and not just the theory behind it, which is what we're kind of talking about today. So how to pull that sample? The sample should be pulled from the pure solvent in the machine. We want to make sure that we've got the best possible solvent because that's the best place to pull that sample from. And then that's usually called the distillation or maybe noted as constant condensation tank 1, 2, or 3. Um, and that varies by the manufacturer. If there's any confusion about that, please don't hesitate to reach out to either your chemical supplier or the machine company as they can go individually through based off of the type of machine you have and what we're pulling. When pulling a sample, please make sure to use the appropriate PPE, as the sample will be under pressure and could be heated. We don't want to have any undue injuries or any issues on the shop floor because of this, so we want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves in all the ways. So, really, what is the booster? The booster is just an additive for the system to neutralize the acid that may be forming in the system. And with the kit, as we talked about earlier, there's going to be a chart that's going to tell you exactly how much to add. But don't fret if you add too much, it won't affect the functionality of the machine or the solvent. And then after this is kind of the most important part. After the booster is added, wait 3 or 4 hours after distillation happens to test again and to make sure that acid is neutralized. If it's not neutralized, add a little bit more booster based off of the chart after you pull your sample again and add that much booster, run it for 3 or 4 hours, and make sure we're within the range that we're looking for. The booster is added to one of the following parts of the machine. Can be the distillation unit, the filter housing, or an additional funnel into the machine. And keep in mind, again, that varies by the machine manufacturer. So if you have those questions about either where to pull the sample or where to add the booster, don't hesitate to reach out to either the chemistry company or the machine manufacturers. They can assist with that. So just kind of quick summary. We know vacuum degreasers, they're great machines. They can improve production. They're easy to maintain. They're really lovely to work with. But we just need to do a few maintenance things to make sure you're getting what you expect out of your investment. And a main source of issues with these machines is the presence of acid. That's what can lead to that costly downtime and the replacement parts. So that acid stabilizing kit, that's an easy test to confirm if there is acid in the process, and don't fret, if there is acid in the process, we can add a little booster to the tank to neutralize the acid and keep the production moving forward. So, one more thing, we're here to help. Both the chemistry suppliers and machine manufacturers are experienced in all aspects of the cleaning process. Like you guys got a lot of stuff on your plate. We can kind of be that extension of your engineering team just in this little avenue. We know this really well as you guys have to know so much across your plant floor. And by the way, hey, we love talking about this stuff, so you're not bothering us at all. We'd love to hear from you. Just a few frequently asked questions that we get on this is how often should the acid stabilizing kit test be done? And at the beginning of the process approval, We probably want to do the test at least once a week for the first 3 months. After we've hit an approval process and a better understanding of the process, it can be done about every other week. This, of course, is dependent on the application, any changes regarding the number of parts being cleaned, materials being introduced into the application, or the actual parts being cleaned. Are there any specific items to take into consideration when adding a booster? And yeah, vacuum degreasers work utilizing a really tight vacuum. Hey, it's right there in the name, right? And any place where the machine is not completely sealed will create an issue and a probable loss of solvent and issues with cleaning. That being said, after the booster has been added, it's imperative that all seals, gaskets, and covers are replaced and confirmed to be tight and in the correct position so that vacuum stays sealed. And finally, what should happen if oxidation has formed on the machine, including the solvent chamber walls, surfaces, piping, or the components themselves? The machine should be shut down as soon as possible and serviced. The oxygenated residue may contain acidic content that could damage the parts if the content is sustained for a longer period. Many of the chemistry and machine companies have a longer procedure for what to do when this happens and to minimize the damage and clean the oxidation and prepare the surfaces so it's unlikely to return. So if you have oxidation on formed inside of your machine, let one of the machine companies or the chemistry company know, and we can provide a much more detailed plan of attack to reduce that and then make sure it doesn't show up again. And that's it. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us on this Tech to Tech. If you want to learn more, be sure to subscribe to our Tech to Tech program at tech to tech by kaizen.com or follow us on any of these social medias. Thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you guys for tuning into this Tech to Tech session. If you'd like to discuss this topic further or have any questions that weren't answered in the session, please contact your local Kaizen regional manager or send an email to tech at kaizen.com, and we'll have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. Do you want to have exclusive access to future content sent directly to your inbox, or do you know someone who'd benefit from these sessions? If the answer is yes, just go to tech by kaizen.com and fill out the subscription form. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.